about your voice that you just kind of mesmerize these kids.
Okay.
And I said, well, maybe it is. Even a child the teachers had complained about that were acting up in their room, they would come in my room, they just, you know, and then I would ask the questions all about Thomas Alva Edison. They would remember all three names. And that, you know, they know if I said his middle name was Alva, then they knew, they remembered that because I used a little drama to get it over to them. So I decided that later on after I retired, and I taught there for a number of years and used this particular activity to get over to kids. If I was teaching verbs, social studies, it didn't matter. I would use the same thing.
That was a method that you used.
Yeah, it was a method that I used. And then I started writing years ago, but I decided to use this method to write a book and figured that if I started out with the high interest level and low level reading in order to reach all the kids. So I'm married and I have 2 children, Desiree and Angela, and I have 2 grandchildren, Amber and Alicia. My husband is Robert Williams.
Okay.
And he's my illustrator in the book.
Very good. Okay, we noticed that. Very good.
Right. So most of my family are educators, teachers. So they teach around here in Metro. I have one daughter that's teaching and another daughter that's more or less doing some counseling sessions. So we're kind of a family of educators. And so we all kind of work together. I have 2 ports. We have a family group that's called the Writers Group.
Very good.
So I'm a writer of stories and poetry. My daughter Desiree and Alicia, my granddaughter, poets also. And they have poetry online. And then Amber and Angela and my husband are the illustrators. And their work you'll see in the book Spellbound. All of my drawings are more or less were done by my husband.
Very good. You know, one thing I think, Ms. Williams, during this last 3 minutes that we have here of this particular segment, one thing that we find today that there's some controversy in reference to early childhood education. And I think that with your teaching experiences and whatnot, you ought to be able to at least shed some light in reference to this, because many folks do not believe the value of exposing 3- and 4-year-old children to the educational process. But I think that it has been demonstrated that well, let's talk about some of the information that you have in reference.
Right. Well, there's nothing I could say that would more or less deviate anyone's attention from starting children early.
Very good.
Because number one, I have experienced children. I've had the experiences of working with children that did not have early childhood education. And that's one reason with the test, the kids falling down on the test, because they don't know how to take a test. You know, they haven't been around other kids. They haven't seen, it doesn't matter how the parent at home and the children at home, they're still not going to get the same learning that they would get with a group of children. I have observed the children in daycare, even in daycare, you know, how they seem to respond to standing in a line and raising their little hands up and sitting down short periods of a time. Okay, now when you start taking that away, then you're going to take away not only from the inner city kids, but you're really going to take away from all the children, because the parents who are able to have a nanny in the home, I mean, just that child and that nanny, that child is not going to get the experiences that that child would receive with other children and with that group. You see, learning is you have a cognitive affect and the affective domain that you're trying to reach when you teach. So the affective domain is getting along with other children, playing together, sharing how you feel about yourself. You know, if you don't have anyone there at home and no one to deal with it, then you think that you're supposed to have it all the time. But when you're around other children, it's a different type of thing. So when you move into the classroom, I am 100% for teaching children in kindergarten. You see, I have always been against, you always have some kids in there that are ready to read. You have some children that are ready to read. When you see a child take a paper like this and point, and they're trying to read or take an encyclopedia, that child's ready to read. So it's nothing wrong with teaching a consonant, a short vowel, put the two together, put the consonant at the end, and you have a word.
Okay, and let us, Ms. Williams, take this first commercial break, after which we'll come back and give you an opportunity to continue that.
Okay, all
We'll be back with our audience following this very, very short. The topic is spell